Blessings to all. Share this YouTube for everyone to see and kick the neck.
75. Maccha Jataka. Abhithane pajuntha, niding kakassa nos kaking sokya randehi, va soka pamocheati. Moreover, Lord Tiloguru Buddha, who had a lush mouth Padma at one time, used a rein that he had covered while he was working at the Devaram Vehira, and said this Jatak. At the same time, due to lack of rain in Kosol country, crops etc. are dying. Lakes, ponds, etc. dried up in that place. The bread was dried up in the Jetwana pond near the Jetwana gate. The flesh that grew under the buds, the birds like crows and hawks, which were similar to the hulls, were eating the solver. Seeing the calamity that the Lord had brought to Maskaspan, with a heart guided by great kindness, today I went to the land covered by the rains. Ananda stood and brought the water bottle to the Atanda Mahatheru from his work on the steps. He said that he would drink bread from the Jetavana pond. Lord, the water in the water pond has dried up. There was only mud, and now it was. Dear Ananda, he said, the inspiration of the Omniscient is very great, and therefore he brings Jalsatika. Hearing this, Ananda Mahatheru said, Lord of the good, he brought the water bottle and gave it to him. Sarvajna was sitting on the steps, wearing a water scarf at one end and covering his body with one end. Then the Pandukambala Shalasana of Shakra Devendra melted. Knowing who those Shakra Devendras are, they called the divine son of Vissavalaka and asked the child. The Supreme Being was sitting on the top step, drinking bread from the Jetavana pond. Immediately all the country of Kosol is covered by the rain and the commands are green. The divine son of Vissavalaka swore that he was good and went out in front of the rising Hira Sakas singing Maccha Jataka in front of one cloud. At that time, a table board rose up in the eastern half of the Kalaveta district, and gradually, hundreds of thousands of films roared, and the whole country of Kosol fell like a flood of water. When the rains began to fall in torrents, the Jetavana pond was filled in a blink of an eye. The top step was closed and the pond was filled with water. Immediately after taking a bath in water, the sage took off his robes, tied the relic to his waist, closed the great opening, accompanied by the monks, sat on the Buddhasana, which was filled with incense, and stood up from the work of the jewel moonstone Panamata to the monks. After warning, he sent him to the smelling room and lied down on the right side of the lion's head and said. In the evening, the monks who gathered in the Damsabha Mandapa saw the grace of the Lord Buddha, the 10-powered Buddha, when many animals began to die, when many lakes and ponds began to dry up, when meat scraps began to come to great sorrow, and because of the kindness of the public, they put on the Jalasatika in the pond. When it was being talked about whether the people would be freed from their physical and spiritual suffering by raining down the entire Kosol country with a single blink of an eye from the top of the steps, then I came out of the smelly temple to the Damsabha Mandapam. Vidara said until the last time, when it will be rightly heated, monks, when the people of all wisdom began to be oppressed by sorrows, not now, those who were born in the vagina of the beast and rained down the rain in the time of the fish kingdom. The previous day, this Kosol country, this Savit city, where this Jetavana pond is located, was a hill surrounded by vines. At that time Mahabosatano was born in the vagina of a fish and was surrounded by a group of fishes and lived in that mountain wave. Now, in the same way, at the same time, that country did not receive rain. The multitude of men died. The tanks etc. dried up. The flesh is under the germs of Kaso. The fishes also live in the waves of this mountain. Even in this wave of mountains, the fishes hid under the branches. Crows etc. are on the edge and eat recently. Seeing the calamity that had befallen the great Bosatana family, the great fish, which was like a grain of charcoal, came out and lit up the sky with its eyes, which were like fine polished ruby. Beloved Vasvalaka, I have come to grief because of my relatives. When I, the virtuous one, am suffering, in what matter will you not make it rain? I was born in the vagina of a fish that ate the flesh of my natives, but I have never eaten a fish, even if it was the size of a salad. I have never killed another animal. Mahabosatano, who was commanding the divine son of Vasvaleka, said thus, like who commanding an escorted girl to send rain with this truth and relieve the crowd of my relatives from suffering. Dear divine son of the slayer of cows, you roared and thundered the rain, and the group of crows pecked at the fishes that were hiding under the eggs and hid the eaters from the water and destroyed the fish treasure of those crows, and the group of crows mourned for not getting any fish when the mountain wave was cleared of water. That group of crows filled this hill and burnt it with the fire of sorrow and saved my father, me and my relatives and all from this sorrow of death. Like this, Mahabosatano gave orders to the divine son of Vissavalaka and released great rains and released the people from the sorrow of death and went to the next world. Lord Buddha, the sage, the omniscient, will not be the one who made it rain in the future. He brought this sermon to the conclusion that those who were born in the vagina of a fish will be the same ones who received rain. At the same time, the group of fishes is now the group of Buddhas, and the calf-bearing divine son is Anandasthavira. At that time, he said to himself that the fish kings are now the Tiluguru Samyak Sambodhu king.